The NBC 10 I-Team, home improvement. Did the state prison boss break the rules in hiring a contractor he knew from work?
The Rhode Island Correctional Officers Union is asking for an investigation into the corrections director. The I-Team's Ryan Crandall is here with what he found out. Brian?
Patrice, Jean Corrections Director Wayne Salisbury acknowledges that he hired a state contractor that was also working at the ACI at the same time. Now, he paid for the work with checks that were dated after I started asking questions, and he repeatedly told me he didn't do anything wrong. But I learned a significant detail that raises more questions. Work crews at Wayne Salisbury's home in September. The Correctional Officers Union, which has vigorously opposed Salisbury since before he officially got the job as corrections director and routinely complains about him, provided the I-Team with these pictures and video it took. Union President Richard Ferruccio says they did this because something outside the ACI's medium security prison caught their attention.
I was working on the perimeter when this piece of equipment was loaded onto a trailer and was taken to the director's house.
Ferruccio provided pictures of a small excavator in Salisbury's yard and a very similar looking one behind the prison's fence and barbed wire.
That equipment was there from Monday morning at 8 o'clock when I saw it get loaded, and came back to us Thursday night.
So you're pretty sure, confident that the same equipment that was on the grounds here went to his house?
Well, 100%.
The union's photos include vehicles from two companies outside Salisbury's house, Atlantic Control Systems and Montgomery Engineering. Atlantic was also working on a nearly $300,000 hot water line project at the medium security prison. We saw its crews there in October. State vendor records show Atlantic is a significant contractor, paid about $10 million by the state over the past 3 years, including hundreds of thousands of dollars in other work for corrections. Montgomery is not listed as a state contractor, but it has the same business address as Atlantic. We saw trucks from both companies parked there. Their owners have the same last name, and when we called, the same person answered their phone numbers.
And for the director to go out there and contract with a vendor that he oversees, an agency that's doing work in the Department of Corrections, I find it distasteful. I find it unethical.
Director, how are you? We approached Salisbury after his staff would not schedule him for an interview.
Brian, I did nothing wrong.
Okay.
I paid more than fair market value for the services that were provided. And I don't know what to tell you outside of that.
But is it just a coincidence that you chose the company that was doing work outside of medium?
How big is Rhode Island?
Salisbury later told me that he hired the company based on a conversation he had unrelated to his duties at corrections. Before talking to Salisbury, I had emailed back and forth with a corrections spokeswoman. I was initially told the work at Salisbury's house and at medium security, quote, are two unrelated jobs handled by two different companies. I pressed that Atlantic was seen at both and appears to be affiliated with Montgomery. After nearly a week, the email response changed slightly that, quote, the landscape work at Salisbury's home and the prison are unrelated and handled by two different companies, while now acknowledging Atlantic had installed a hot water heater at Salisbury's home.
Was there any equipment that was moved?
No, there wasn't. I think all the equipment that they use or any other vendor uses, they all look the same.
I asked for proof that Salisbury paid for the work at his house. His staff sent me images of checks written to the companies on the same day, which was 3 days before I asked for the proof, but 5 days after I started asking his staff questions, and nearly 3 weeks after at least some of the work was done.
Did you have an intention to pay them before we started asking questions?
They were paid as soon as I got the invoices, Brian. Yeah.
Would you
and I did nothing wrong.
It starts to raise more questions, about why, of all the contractors in the state who might be able to do work at the director's house, why does he use the one that's also currently doing work, for the state department that he heads?
I took the situation to John Marion, head of government and ethics watchdog group Common Cause. He says it can be okay for state workers to hire state contractors.
State employees should be free to hire them as long as they're, hiring them just like you or I should. But they shouldn't be able to get any special treatment, cut the line, pay a discount, because they're also a state vendor. You can't get service that they wouldn't provide to any other Rhode Islander. So you can't use your public position for personal gain. That's what the law says. And it's personal gain if you get something that a normal Rhode Islander can't get.
Good afternoon, Atlantic Control Systems.
So I needed to ask if anyone else could get that service from Atlantic.
Is it residential?
Yes.
Yeah, no, we don't do residential, just commercial.
Okay, you don't do residential projects?
No.
How about Montgomery?
Do you do residential work?
No, not usually.
Yeah, so that's where I'd say like the alarm bells are going off. But if they are only doing residential for you and no one else, then that's a problem. I think that the burden is on the director now to explain why companies that aren't normally doing residential work are doing residential work for him at his private home.
Of all the companies that you could use, why did you use a company that's doing work here and gets millions of dollars from the state, when again, from all indications, they do not do residential work?
They do residential work.
You don't do residential work?
No.
Do you understand why this doesn't
Brian,
look like it adds up?
Brian, I did nothing wrong.
Okay, but
I certainly would not put myself in any position to do that. I did nothing wrong.
I left messages for the owners of Atlantic and Montgomery, but have not heard back. For the I-Team, I'm Brian Crandall, NBC 10 News.